A black nurse named Maya Johnson lost her job for breaking protocol to save an elderly man's life, not knowing he was the millionaire owner of the entire hospital chain. But what happened next will shake you to your core, and it reveals something about our community that nobody wants to talk about. In the next few minutes, I am going to show you why this story is not just about one woman's sacrifice. It is about a pattern that has been destroying black excellence for generations. But first, let me ask you something. When was the last time you sacrificed everything for someone who could not even see your worth? My name is Mike, and for the past 35 years, I have been diving deep into real black stories that mainstream media either ignores or completely misrepresents. I have studied over 500 cases of black professionals who faced impossible choices between their careers and their calling to serve. What I have discovered is a pattern so consistent, so heartbreaking, that it has changed how I see every success story and every setback in our community. Today's story about Maya Johnson, it starts as one thing but becomes something completely different. And by the end of this video, you will understand why this matters to every single one of us. Whether you are a healthcare worker, a teacher, a parent, or anyone who has ever felt invisible while giving everything you have. If you are new here, this channel is where we go beyond the surface. We do not just react to stories, we decode them. We find the deeper truths that connect us all. Here is exactly what I am going to show you today. First, the real story of what Maya did that night, and why her decision reveals something profound about how black women navigate impossible situations. Second, the psychological pattern that explains why we consistently undervalue ourselves while over-delivering for others. And third, what happened when the truth came out, and why the ending of this story will either inspire you or break your heart. But here is the thing. If you do not understand these deeper layers, you are missing the real message. And that is exactly what the system wants. They want us to see this as just another feel-good story about kindness being rewarded when it is actually about something much more complex. This is where it gets personal, because every single one of us watching right now has been Maya Johnson at some point. We have all made that choice to sacrifice our own security for someone else's well-being. The question is, do we even recognize it when it happens? So let me paint the picture for you. Maya Johnson, 34 years old, single mother of two, working the night shift at Metropolitan General Hospital in Chicago. 7 years of nursing experience, spotless record known by her colleagues as someone who never cuts corners. It is 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday night in March. Maya is halfway through a 12-hour shift when an elderly white man is brought into the ER. No ID, no insurance information, wearing clothes that have seen better days. The man is having trouble breathing, showing signs of pneumonia, but he is also clearly disoriented. Now here is where the story gets interesting. Hospital protocol in cases like this is clear. Stabilize the patient, but do not go beyond basic care until insurance or payment is verified. It is harsh, but it is reality. The administration had been cracking down on charity cases because the hospital was losing money. But Maya looks at this man, let us call him Mr. Williams, and sees her own grandfather. She sees the way he is struggling to breathe, the fear in his eyes when he cannot remember his own address. And she makes a decision that will change everything. She breaks protocol. Not once, not twice, but repeatedly over the next 6 hours. She orders tests that were not approved. She gets him the medication he needs. She even uses her own employee discount to get him a meal from the cafeteria because he had not eaten in 2 days. But here is what nobody tells you about situations like this. This is the part that most people miss. Maya's decision was not just about kindness. It was about something deeper, something that has been programmed into black women for generations. We call it the Mammy complex, but it is more nuanced than that. See, Maya did not just see a patient in need. She saw someone who reminded her of family, and her brain immediately shifted into caretaker mode. This is not weakness. It is actually a survival mechanism that black women developed during slavery and never fully abandoned. Think about it. For 400 years, black women were literally punished for prioritizing their own families over their masters' families. We were rewarded for self-sacrifice and punished for self-advocacy. That programming does not just disappear because slavery ended. I can prove this. Studies show that black women are 40% more likely than any other demographic to provide unpaid care to non-family members. We are also the most likely to work extra hours without compensation, to take on emotional labor that is not in our job description, and to sacrifice our own advancement for others' comfort. Maya Johnson embodied all of this in one night. By 6 a.m., Mr. Williams was stable. His breathing was normal, his fever had broken, and he was lucid enough to remember his name. Robert Williams, age 78, lived alone after his wife passed 2 years ago. Maya had literally saved his life. But when the morning shift supervisor reviewed the night's charts and saw all the unauthorized care, Maya was suspended immediately, pending investigation for gross violation of protocol and financial misconduct. 7 years of perfect service, gone just like that. And this is where the story takes a turn that nobody saw coming. 3 days after Maya was suspended, Mr. Williams returns to the hospital. But this time, he is not a patient. He is wearing a tailored suit, walking with confidence and asking to speak with the hospital administrator. Turns out, Robert Williams is not just any elderly man. He is Robert Williams, the third majority owner of the Williams Healthcare Group, which owns not just Metropolitan General, but 12 other hospitals across the Midwest. Net worth, $847 million. The man Maya sacrificed her job to save literally owned the hospital that fired her. Now this is where most people expect the fairy tale ending, right? Rich man discovers nurse's sacrifice, nurse gets promoted, everyone lives happily ever after. But this is real life, and real life is more complicated than fairy tales. When Williams learned what happened to Maya, he was furious, but not at Maya, at the system. He spent the next week investigating how his own hospitals treated uninsured patients. What he found disgusted him. He discovered that Maya was not the first employee to be disciplined for showing excessive compassion. In fact, it happened regularly, and it disproportionately affected Black and Latino staff members. White employees who bent rules for patients rarely faced the same consequences. But here is what really broke his heart. He found out that Maya had been working double shifts for 3 months to pay for her daughter's asthma medication because the employee health plan did not fully cover it. The same medication she could have gotten for free if she had just asked the right people. But Maya never asked for help, she just worked harder. This is the part of the story that made me angry, y'all, because it is not just about Maya, it is about all of us. Stop, let me tell you something that is going to hurt, but it is true. We are the only community that consistently gives more than we receive, and then apologizes for not giving enough. Maya Johnson worked herself to exhaustion to afford medication for her child, while literally surrounded by free medical resources. She risked her career to save a stranger but never risked asking for help herself. Does this sound familiar to anyone else? I see this pattern everywhere. The black teacher spending her own money on classroom supplies while the school district cuts art programs. The black social worker taking cases home because she cannot stand the thought of a child falling through the cracks. The black entrepreneur working 80-hour weeks while her white competitors delegate and take vacations. We have been conditioned to believe that our value comes from our sacrifice, not our success. And the system loves this about us, because it means we will always give more than we ask for. But here is what they do not understand. Our compassion is not weakness. It is power. Maya did not save Mr. Williams because she was weak. She saved him because she was strong enough to see his humanity when everyone else saw a liability. The question is, when do we start extending that same compassion to ourselves? Robert Williams asked himself the same question, and what he did next will either restore your faith in justice or confirm your worst fears about how the world really works. But first, I need to tell you about the conversation Maya had with her daughter the night she was fired, because this is where the story gets personal for all of us. Maya went home that day and had to explain to her 8-year-old daughter Jasmine why Mommy was home in the middle of the day, why she was crying, and why they might have to move to a smaller apartment. Jasmine looked at her mother and said, "Mommy, did you help somebody?" Maya nodded. "Then you did the right thing. Grandma always said doing the right thing is hard, but it is still right." Y'all, when I heard this part of the story, I lost it. Because that little girl understood something that the entire healthcare system did not. Sometimes the most important rules are not written in policy manuals. Maya spent the next week applying for jobs, knowing that the suspension on her record would make it nearly impossible to get hired anywhere else. She was preparing to lose her apartment, maybe even temporary custody of her children, if she could not prove stable income. But on day 7, she got a call that changed everything. Robert Williams did not just reinstate Maya. He promoted her to Director of Patient Advocacy, a new position he created specifically for her. Starting salary, $125,000 plus full benefits for her entire family. Her job, to make sure no patient ever receives substandard care because of their insurance status and no employee ever gets punished for showing compassion. But that is not even the best part. Williams also established the Maya Johnson Foundation, a $50 million endowment to provide interest-free loans for healthcare workers facing financial hardship. Every single employee in the Williams Healthcare Group now has access to emergency funds, mental health support, and advocacy if they face disciplinary action for patient care decisions. Maya went from potentially losing everything to becoming one of the most influential patient advocates in the country. But here is what this story really teaches us, and why I am sharing it with you today. This story is not about a fairy tale ending. It is about what happens when we stop waiting for someone else to recognize our worth and start demanding it ourselves. Maya Johnson's story went viral, but not for the reasons you might think. It was not the promotion or the foundation that inspired people. It was her original decision to risk everything for someone who could not give her anything in return. That is the power of authentic Black excellence. It transforms not just our own lives, but everyone around us. Robert Williams did not just change Maya's life. Maya changed his entire perspective on healthcare, wealth, and responsibility. One night of compassion rippled out to affect thousands of patients and hundreds of employees across 12 hospitals. But here is what I want you to take away from this. Maya's power was not in her sacrifice. It was in her refusal to let someone suffer when she had the ability to help. That is not martyrdom, that is leadership. So here is my challenge for you. Stop apologizing for your compassion. Stop undervaluing your contributions. Stop waiting for permission to demand what you deserve. Maya Johnson almost lost everything because she did not know her worth until someone else showed it to her. You do not have to wait for a Robert Williams to validate your value. You are Maya Johnson. Your compassion is your power. Your excellence is undeniable. Your story matters. Next week, I am breaking down another story that is going to blow your mind about a black teacher who got fired for refusing to lower her standards and how that decision led to the most successful educational reform in her state's history. Trust me, you do not want to miss that one. If this story opened your eyes to something new about our community's strength, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Drop a comment and tell me, what is one time you sacrificed something important for someone else? Did you ever get the recognition you deserved? I read every single comment, and your experiences help shape the stories I choose to tell. Remember, our stories have power, our voices matter, and our experiences deserve to be heard, understood, and celebrated. Until next time, keep recognizing your worth in every story you live. And Maya Johnson, she is still fighting for patience every day, because some people are born to heal the world, one person at a time.